Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and a very happy 2022. So, as you guys have probably seen on my YouTube channel, my most interacted with, watched, commented on, requested videos are about my Fitbit. So as you probably have already seen by this title, this video is not about my Fitbit, but it's in fact about my new, I show you, Garmin watch. So this video is a 1 year, yes, I know, I've been off the internet a long time, 1 year with my new Garmin VivoActive 4S watch. I guess the watch isn't technically new anymore, I've had it a year, but I have kind of compiled my thoughts, things I like, things I don't like about my Garmin versus my Fitbit, and hopefully this video helps you if you're trying to decide between a Fitbit or a Garmin or just an activity tracking watch in general. So I've broken this video up into a few different sections. We're going to talk about why did I upgrade, the overall look and screen of the Garmin, the mobile and the web application, things I like, things I don't like, and then my overall recommendation. So off the bat, before we get into any of that, I just want to preface this all by saying this is all my own opinions, but also a lot of the things I'm going to talk about in today's video have to do with workouts, training, activities. Everyone's fitness level and what they can and can't do is totally different. So keep that in mind of what I'm saying and how I'm using this does not mean you have to. So use this however you like. I want to show you guys the watch first before I really talk about it. So you could see in my light here, there's a little bit of a shine. If I tap the screen to wake it up, there's a little bit of a display. I personally have the white watch band with the gold accents. So that includes the buckle, the outer buttons, as well as the outer circle of the watch on the back. Here you have the charging port, and then this here is where it takes your heart rate, and this will flash green when it's taking your heart rate. If we look at the screen itself, here you go. This is just the watch display I have, just like the Fitbit. There's a bunch of different options. I could scroll. I have water tracking set up, my training program, text messages, and phone notifications, weather, all sorts of stats. So I just kind of want to show you it overall. As I'm wearing it, it's really not too big or bulky at all on my wrist. It fits very nicely. I believe this is the 40mm version of the watch. So why did I upgrade from a Garmin to a Fitbit after having Fitbit devices for nearly 4.5 years? The main reason is because the one activity I probably have the most logged activities of is running, and particularly running outdoors. And when running outdoors, the best way to track your pace, your elevation, all of that is through GPS. And the Fitbit that I had, in order to use the GPS, I had to not only have my phone with me, but it got to the point where I had to have my phone screen on my entire run. And that just got super tiring. It drained my battery. It was frustrating for me. I'd accidentally click on the screen while running, so I'm holding it. I don't always want to bring my phone with me when I run. It just got frustrating. Another thing, big thing, was toward the end, my Fitbit refused to get any software updates. For the last many months I had it. It was very frustrating. I basically couldn't use any of the features on the device anymore because I couldn't get to software update. I was starting to feel a bit clunky, just wasn't as enjoying it as much. And about a year before I got my watch, so 2 years ago, Michael got a Garmin watch and just spoke highly of it. So I was like, you know what? I'll give this a try. I briefly mentioned this, but just to talk a little bit more about what I'm comparing, what I got. The watch I used to have was the Fitbit Versa. It was the pink band with I think the rose gold hardware. I bought it in April of 2018 for about $200. The Garmin watch that I'm talking about today is the Garmin VivoActive 4S. It is the white band with gold accents. I bought it for around $250 in December of 2020. Okay, this is probably one of the two biggest sections we have in this video. The overall look, the screen, the interaction, all that. So off the bat, the Garmin watch feels much lighter than my Fitbit Versa does. The screen itself is definitely a little bit smaller, which I personally prefer, and honestly, it's way more useful. This watch is crazy customizable. Like, I was kind of scrolling through some of the screens showing you guys earlier. You can't really do that on Fitbit, and you can add or subtract more pages. You can order them how you would like. So like, for instance, I personally really enjoy tracking my water intake, so that's why the first thing I have when I scroll up is my water. It in general has a better use of the space. The watch itself goes kind of all the way to the edge of the display itself, whereas the Fitbit had a really big border around the sides. I mentioned before about running. This watch is incredible for that. Built-in GPS, so huge difference off the bat. Built-in GPS, which can be used for any of the activities that are outdoor. So you have cycling, which therefore tracks your speed, your distance, all that. It also, of course, running and walking, also skiing, which I've used, snowboarding, there's stand-up paddleboarding, like everything. So having the built-in GPS is huge. It gets a ton of data. And that's regardless of GPS or not. This watch, that is probably my biggest takeaway, is the amount of data this watch provides you. It is insane. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in features. Right now, I want to try to stick to overall look and screen. So the reason I'm bringing up the running and walking is when you're doing activities, the watch has like 5 or 6 different screens minimum you can go through of just all data that pertains to your workout that you're doing right now. So you've got your heart rate, your current like oxygen output if you want that, if you're running or walking, your current pace, your distance, this lapse pace and distance, your elevation, detail, all this stuff. With that being said, it's all also customizable. I mentioned this before, but that's one of the huge things I love about the overall look and screen and use of this watch. So the next section, I want to talk about the mobile and web application. Fairly straightforward. There's a mobile application, there's a website you can go to. I believe Fitbit has both of these as well. My feedback on the mobile application, again, super customizable. I can view information in the order I want it. I can view what I want. The app allows me to interact with the activities really easily, edit, add things, whatever I like. I thought there were a lot of details on the watch itself. When doing an activity, after an activity, the app provides you even more. It has charts upon charts of all sorts of helpful data. It gives out like a summary of your workout after it was done in the app, which I really like. There's also a built-in calendar. This is both in the web and mobile app. Where you can schedule your own workouts and then view stats from that day. So like every day I can click on a calendar and just click on a day, see what activities did I do, how many steps did I take, how much water did I drink, all those sort of things. I also love that I can create my own workouts both on the mobile and web application. I'll get into that more with the web, but you basically can create any type of workout that you want, which is awesome. Another huge thing I love, I am very much a person that is motivated by other people and like, I guess, things in a way. So the way Garmin does this, or achieves this for me, I should say, is through their challenges and badges. So I can do challenges with random people. So every week I'm in challenges with random people who get around the same steps as me to see who can get the most. You can also challenge your friends. Badges. So Garmin has these things called badges. They come out with new ones all the time, like almost like on a monthly basis, as well as standard ones. So this is stuff like run or log 10 walking activities is like a badge, for instance, I think I have. And there's like different levels. Like I think I have 3 walking badges now because I've done like 10 activities, then 25, then I think I just hit 100 last week. But like all sorts of things like that. Like, so it encourages you to try to get up, get moving. Like I think next week, right in the new year, there's a walking badge, like take 1 walk over the course of a weekend. stuff like that. Another thing I really like that the app as well as the watch has is this feature, a couple. There's a feature called body battery, which basically takes into account the amount of movement you've done and the amount of rest you've done, and out of 100 basically tells you where your body is at. Again, this is all to be taken the grain of salt. It's technology. It's not perfect. You know, just because it says your battery is 100 out of 100 may not mean you're feeling 100 out of 100 and should push yourself. Also, the stress, pretty similar. It just tells you, like, I think it uses your heart rate and your breathing to determine your stress level. Compared to Fitbit's app, I find Garmin's to be just way more, what's the best way to describe it? Well, way more data centric and data filled. There's way more things you can view. There's way more subsections you can view. Could be overwhelming for some, but I personally love having all that data. I think the main thing with Fitbit's app was some things were a little bit more straightforward and clear, in my opinion, than Garmin, but I also think that's because of what Garmin does. There's just more data. The web application, I just mean a website. Garmin's website is super easy to use. It's very similar to the app, so there's a lot of smooth transitions and just easy to use and understand. Another really great feature that I love about the Garmin website is you have that ability I mentioned before, I want to talk more about it, to make your own workouts and your own routes. So what you can do is, like, you can create your own training plan and say, like, this week I want to run 3 miles on Tuesday and 6 miles on Thursday, but on Thursday 6 miles you can, like, specifically put in, like, for 1 mile I want warm up, and then for half a mile I want to run at this speed, and, like, you can basically just hit go on the watch and it'll tell you and, like, tell you what to do. You can also set up, like, your own other workouts. Like, I have some core and cardio workouts that I made myself. They have all these gym movements already stored in that you kind of just plug in place wherever you'd like. Same thing with running routes. You can use the maps feature to anywhere in the world, create your own running routes. You can also do things called segments, which I really love, which is, like, you can basically search. You can make your own segment or search for other segments and then run or walk that or do your activity there and compare it among other people. Alright, this is probably the longest part of the video and we're already pretty far in. There's a lot. The general features that Garmin has that I think just, in my opinion, sort of blow Fitbit out of the water and make it a better choice. The biggest thing I've already talked about, GPS. In fact, I just went skiing the other week, even used GPS for that, and was able to calculate which times I was actually going down the hill and, like, time it for me and give me my speed and all these other details. Again, you can use GPS for basically any outdoor activity. It's wonderful. It gives you great details. Next thing I really love, and something I've been actually doing for about the past year, different training programs. So I mentioned you can make your own. Garmin also has built-in training programs for both cycling and running in distances of 5K, 10K, and half marathon for running. But they're built-in programs where they have multiple types. You can also pick a program based on, like, I want to complete this with this time goal, or I just want to complete this overall. And it'll create specific workouts for you tailored to your schedule, what your goals are, what you're interested in doing. I mentioned already too the challenges and badges. This Fitbit had badges, but they were more like long-term badges, like you've walked the distance of the Eiffel Tower or something, which is super, not walk the distance. You've climbed the number of stairs to the Eiffel Tower, that's what I mean. Garmin's aren't really like that. They're more like time-based challenges as well as just, like, general things, like try to hit 300,000 steps in a month, and then, like I said, there's one, like, next weekend for, like, take this walk or something. I personally like the Garmin badges and challenges a lot more. They're more motivating to me versus Fitbit was more just, like, informational, like, oh, that's cool, I've walked the number of stairs, that's an Eiffel Tower, like, cool to know. But Garmin's are like, oh, I want to go on a walk today and get moving for the badge. Just my take on it. Other features that the Garmin has that Fitbit didn't, I really like, is you can see your breaths per minute at all hours of the day, which I think is just cool. There's also the Pulse OX, which is, like, the amount of oxygen in your blood, I think. I know this is an important metric. I don't really understand it. As well as like your stress readings. Garmin also overall has just a ton more activity options. Like, ready? I'm going to read you some of them. Run, outdoor run, treadmill run, walk, indoor walk. And by the way, when I like select any of those, it asks me like where. Like if I do an outdoor run, my options are outdoor track, treadmill for indoor, trails. Like there's just like you can tell it. Oh, indoor track. Anyway, cardio, strength, biking indoors, and outdoor skiing, indoor track, floor climber, pool swim, outdoor swim, golfing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing, regular skiing, stand-up paddleboarding, yoga, Pilates, breathwork, elliptical, stair-stepper, yard work, rowing indoors, martial arts. Like, and those are just the ones I have on my watch. So there's a bunch of different activity types, and it has custom data based on which type you choose. Garmin also has a lot more goal setting options, so you can set goals based on distance or time. Like for instance, I set a goal in Garmin that I wanted to run 500 miles in 2021, and I actually, as of the week of the Christmas holiday, finally hit that goal. So it just like tracks all that for you. You can make it something like, I want to be able to walk for 1 mile straight. I want to be able to run for 1 mile straight. And you can set those and just see yourself hitting new goals. Something else I mentioned that I like is the water tracking. It has very easy built-in water tracking both on the watch and in the app, and I can set custom inputs for each of my different water bottles. The weather functionality is super nice. The problem with Fitbits is like, basically, if you don't open the weather section in the app, it would never update on the watch. So Garmin doesn't work like that. It's just anytime my watch syncs, it updates the weather for where I am, and it shows me both hourly and daily. Another thing I really like about the Garmin that Fitbit did not have was something I call like the smart steps. So Garmin has the ability for you to set a daily step goal. Like for instance, in Fitbit, I think I could just set, like I want to hit 10,000 steps today, and I would just set it and that's it. Garmin, you can do that and set it to whatever number you want. Or it can do smart tracking. So basically it says, based on yesterday, you hit this many steps. Try to beat that today. My problem with that was I used that for about 2 months, and then it became frustrating because if I would beat yesterday's goal, it just became a little unachievable. So that's kind of the only drawback to it. But I did really like the ability that it had that and like pushed me to do better. Another feature I really like on the Garmin watch is it keeps track of like personal records for you with swimming, biking, and running. So it'll keep track of your fastest mile, your fastest 5K, 10K, half marathon, stuff like that. Similar distances with biking and swimming. And then, it'll say like, oh, congrats, you hit a new record. In Garmin, you can also be a part of groups. So you can be part of local groups, anything you want. Like a lot of run clubs or bike clubs have them, or people just make their own, and you can kind of like do challenges with your friends, stuff like that. And kind of my last big thing I want to talk about, there's a lot, as you can see, I'm just kind of scraping the surface, is the gear. So Garmin has this really awesome feature where you can track gear. So this can be shoes, bikes, sweatsuits, different types of clothing, skis, snorkel gear, like equipment, whatever you want. And you can track like when you got it, how many times you've used it, the miles you've put on it, and like auto apply things. So for instance, I have my running shoes in there as gear, and I have it set up that every run I record automatically assigns those shoes as the gear, so it tracks the mileage because I wear the same shoes when I run. So I think that's cool, and it like tells you when to stop using it. Like I just hit 400 miles on my running shoes, and I guess that's about when you're supposed to retire them. So it was like, hey, by the way, you should retire these, and you can change that amount. So as with everything in life, not everything is perfect. There are some pieces I did want to talk about of things I didn't like as much about the Garmin. Probably the biggest thing for me, and again, these are all pretty minor, is the sleep tracking. This isn't something I use super often. I more just think it's interesting. I found that Fitbit's sleep tracking was more accurate than Garmin's, and in a few different categories. The fall asleep and wake time for Garmin, I'm also someone that likes to like lay in bed after I wake up and a bit before I fall asleep. It basically just thought as soon as I got in bed, I was asleep, and until I got out of it, I was awake. Fitbits was a little bit better at distinguishing like when I actually fell asleep versus when I was laying in bed, I found. Another thing is like being awake. I typically wake up once or twice during the night to get some water, use the restroom, and sometimes just wake up. If I wake up and walk around, Garmin will acknowledge that as being awake, as did Fitbit. But if I just wake up and see like the time and I'm awake for 10 minutes, whatever, but never get up, Garmin a lot of times doesn't recognize that I'm awake. But Fitbit did. Again, I think it's just because I'm still laying in bed and it's like, why would you be awake? But Fitbit tend to track those things, which I thought was neat. So that's kind of the biggest piece of data that I do think Fitbit did a little bit better in. Nothing too major. Another thing about Garmin, and this is just total personal taste, is they have a lot of features for golfing, and that's cool, that's great. I don't golf, so I kind of wish I could get rid of like the golfing tab that shows up on the web app and mobile app on the side, because I don't use it. But I mean, it's just one of the many tabs, so it's not a huge deal, just personal preference. And then my last kind of thing that I think Fitbit did a bit, or not did better, the thing that I liked more through Fitbit, I guess is the best way to say it, is the calories. I'm not someone that calorie counts a lot, but every once in a while I'll do it just to kind of keep track of what I'm eating. So Fitbit was great because it was all built into the app. You could make your own foods, you could search for things right in the app and add it. It was all integrated. Garmin's, I actually haven't even tried using it yet because it's through MyFitnessPal, which is the third party. And I just don't feel like signing up for something else and linking them, whereas Fitbit was all built in one. So those are kind of, I guess, my three things about Garmin that I'm meh about. A few more things I want to chat about. Charging, customer service, and then my overall recommendations. So for charging, I found that the Garmin charges faster. It's a little bit more than 1% per minute. I found Fitbit to be anywhere from 0.5% to about 1% per minute charge increase. So for customer service, I did have interactions both with Fitbit and Garmin. I found Garmin's customer service to be awesome. This is actually my second watch. The first one I got came with what ended up being a defective heart rate monitor system inside. So I ended up having to contact them. They helped me get a new one. I did live chat. Someone was very responsive. They gave me a bunch of options. They shipped me out a new watch as soon as they got the old one. It was very quick, very easy, very communicative. Fitbit, as I mentioned, they stopped doing software updates to my watch and I could not get it to get fixed. I tried multiple times reaching out to people. I did not have good luck. I spent over an hour with each person on customer service. It really was not super helpful, super useful. I kind of felt like I was going in circles. Multiple people, or I guess 2 different people, said they would follow up from Fitbit chat. They never did. I never heard anything else. So in terms of customer service, I've had so far better luck at Garmin myself. Overall, my suggestion is the Garmin watch over the Fitbit, like 1,000% times. I know I spoke very highly of the Fitbit. I think the Fitbit worked for me at the time. I think now that I have the Garmin, I'm way more motivated. I'm way more interested in working out. It has way more data, which is something I just really like. I think the Fitbit is a great choice for someone who is just looking to count steps, a basic walk or run, and really that's it. It's more of just like a I need to move more tool. If you're looking to do anything more than that, even if you just have an interest in tracking more of your distances, having a bit more details, I highly recommend the Garmin. Again, my price comparison may be slightly out of date now, but for me it was $50 more than the Fitbit. And for something that I wear every single day for at least 2 years, it's almost a no-brainer to pay the $50 more. I do understand that not everyone has those means, but I think if you are going to use the different apps that they have, the different activities, the different tools built into the watch, it's, in my mind, way better deal to get the Garmin because you're just getting so much more. And you know what? If you end up using the Garmin just to track your steps and the occasional walk, but now you actually get built-in GPS and you don't have to bring your phone and you get all this data about your walk, like, to me, that's definitely worth it. So that's my takeaway between the two. This is probably my highly requested type of video, these activity trackers, so I really hope you guys enjoy this Please, 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 any questions that you have or things you want to know, or if you're torn about what to get, please feel free to reach out in the comments below, or you can find me on Instagram at Melissa Plack. I am more than happy to answer your questions and talk with you guys and help you out. I hope you all are having a wonderful start to your 2022, and I will see you soon with another video. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.